here with Unblinded, where we're having the co-creation of dreams and breakthroughs and crushing fear and distortion. I have the honor and the privilege of being here with Congresswoman and presidential candidate, Tulsi Gabbard.
Thank you so much, Sean.
It's an absolute pleasure.
So
How are
great
you?
to be here with you. I'm doing great.
Amazing.
Welcome to snowy New Hampshire.
It's incredible. And the last time I was here, I was playing like the Dartmouth Big Green against
wow.
the university. So it's a beautiful return.
And we're actually right across the street from Dartmouth now.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. So listen, I'm deeply honored, and I want to make this like just jump in and go really quickly.
Yeah.
What has led me to my interest in your candidacy and my endorsement of you for President of the United States has been because of what you stand for in the world, integrity. And this Unblinded world is about integrity-based human influence. And your positions related to campaign finance reform and evolving through some of those dynamics has been of extraordinary importance to me and my heart for a long time. So could you share like what you feel about those things?
Yeah, absolutely, Sean. You know, I've had the great privilege of being able to travel to many different parts of the country throughout this campaign and also throughout my 7 years in Congress, and have just seen how the very real concerns that the American people have are not being met. And the reason they're not being met is because of this pay-to-play culture in Washington, this hyper-partisanship. Leaders who are elected to serve the people are actually either looking out for their own selfish political interests or looking out for the interests of, you know, the high-paid, high-powered lobbyists representing one industry or another, and passing legislation that serves the very few powerful elite rather than actually looking out for what's in the best interest of the country. And if we as a nation, if we the people can fulfill this vision that our founders had for us, or we would really have a government of, by, and for the people, then we'd be able to work across party lines, bring leaders together who are really focused on fulfilling that mission of service, and that's what I'm trying to do.
That's awesome. And my hallucination is that we live in a world where people try to villainize the other. Like, oh, they're evil and they're going to pay.
That's right.
So my thought is that people are really innocent souls and they kind of rationalize their conduct. And so as somebody who has served, like you're in your fourth term in Congress,
Yes.
right? How do you think, like what weighs in the hearts of people? Do you think that they sort of just rationalize it somehow? This is like what it's like, and lobbying is, it's okay, and if we're doing favors for the people that supported us, that's right. Like, what do you think is in their actual hearts?
Yeah, you know, it's so disheartening to see how both in Washington as well as you know, voters who I get to meet every day, there's just a sense of resignation that this is just the way it is, that things can't ever change, that those who have the most influence will get what they want, whereas the vast majority of people who are really just like struggling to survive, you know, make sure their kids get a good education, kind of keep the roof over their heads, their voices will continue to go unheard. I had a friend of mine in Washington who's actually a lobbyist for renewable energy sector, and I made a decision to stop taking any PAC or lobbyist money several years ago in Congress, and her response across the dinner table was really interesting and telling. She said, oh, okay, this means you will never run for higher office ever again because you can't do it without PAC and lobbyist support.
Wow.
The next day I heard from, you know, activists and people who are out working and organizing in different communities, and their response, they started sending me notes saying, oh my gosh, this is amazing. This must mean you're running for president. But that to me just showed the contrast, you know, with kind of where people's realities in their own minds exist.
Well, that's why I jumped in a car and drove 4.5 hours in
you.
Snow, New Hampshire. Thank you, because that's what it's about. We live in a time with the social media has its challenges for sure, but we also have the opportunity to get our messaging out there like never before without the same cost. But people still need to raise money and funds from places, maybe not, you know, centralized power elite PACs and lobbyists, but that's something that, we're gonna see what we can do in that vein as well.
Exactly.
I also want to thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Truly. And that's not being said on this camera for you.
No.
Nicole's in this room, and we run around to a lot of places, and anytime I hear anybody anywhere that served our nation, I thank them. So thank you. And what's that been like?
I'm grateful to have the opportunity to serve our country in different ways. I still serve in the Army National Guard now, served now for almost 17 years, deployed twice to the Middle East. I first started out as a young private, shipping out to basic training in South Carolina. Served in my first deployment in 2005 in Iraq during the height of the war, and that experience completely changed my life. Came back and wanted to be in a position where I could lead soldiers to make a positive impact, and so went through OCS and had the opportunity to lead a platoon during my second deployment. All of this just to say I have immense gratitude in my heart to be able to serve our country. I love our country very much, and it's that same sense of unity and purpose that I've experienced throughout my time in service, serving alongside Americans from all walks of life, that I will bring as president. That we need that same sense of unity and purpose of service from all of our leaders.
Amazing. And for you, as somebody who looks at the idea of where the United States belongs on a foreign policy level, you have some strong feelings about that.
I do.
Would you mind sharing?
I do. Yeah, foreign policy is, especially in these elections, often kind of pushed to the side. Well, that's just one issue. There's all of these other many issues. But in reality, foreign policy is domestic policy. It is the heart of everything that impacts us on a daily basis. And what we are seeing happening right now as our country is been pushed into a state of war with Iran is evidence of that. We see the reality that these long-standing, unnecessary, wasteful regime change wars have cost us tremendously in American lives, and have cost us tremendously in taxpayer dollars that could be going towards making sure kids are getting a quality education, dollars that could be going towards protecting our environment, investing in infrastructure, the needs that we have in every one of our communities across this country.
Right, and you have a beautiful positioning that I want to make sure I get accurately. You talk about yourself being both a hawk and a dove.
Yes.
Because people go, oh, okay, so this is a person who thinks we shouldn't protect ourselves. No. It's a person who served in the military and protected our nation.
That's
so would you mind sharing that distinction?
In the wake of the attacks on 9/11, like so many Americans across this country, I enlisted motivated by what happened on that fateful day, because I wanted to do all that I could to protect and defend the safety and security of our country. We must have a strong and ready military capable of fulfilling that mission to protect the safety and security of our nation and our people. We are not enabling our troops to do their mission when we are sending them on regime change wars and nation building missions that are actually undermining our national security, strengthening terrorist groups like ISIS and Al-Qaeda, and draining our country of the resources that we really need to ensure we have a strong and prosperous nation. It's not a choice between the two. I'm not an isolationist. I'm not a pacifist. I'm a realist, and I see the world as it is. We must pursue diplomacy and use every measure of it as much as possible before resorting to war as that very last option in protection of our country.
Thank you. And
thank you, Sean.
Thank you so much, Tulsi. And I'll say this finally. You're a surfer,
yes,
a martial artist, you're cool, and you're fun. I think anybody who's president should not only be brilliant, have served our nation overseas as you have, but also be cool and fun. So thank you. And
thank
you know what?
you.
We're all blind and just learning to see. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.